if you see GDP, per capita income, money, etc., is improving very rapidly in this country. So the biggest size effect on the equation is family. So next is health, and money is about fourth, fifth place. The fear, the fear and the weaponization of fear in governance is quite a strong element, I think.
Thank you for joining us, Dasho Karma Ura.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about Bhutan's happiness quotient.
Yes.
So we want to understand that Bhutan is actually a unique country where the government is concerned about the happiness quotient of its people.
Yeah.
What are the 5-yearly GNH surveys about? What all does it entail?
Our plan, which was learned from India, is also 5-yearly. So before every end of the plan, our office is responsible for its evaluation. In addition, as the plan is formulated, in the next plan is formulated towards the end of one plan, then the goals and criteria of the next plans are formulated. And among other things, the survey of cross-national happiness take place. And the purpose of survey is really to update the targets of the plan. Because the index of the GNH, various types, 33 or individual baselines are drawn from this survey. So quite a lot of them are unusual ones because they are not related to macroeconomic goals. So they are drawn from the GNH survey. And the survey fields sort of status and conditions of about 11,000 households in this country. So our survey has to be nationally representative. And the questions we asked during the GNH survey are extensive and unusual ones, because they go into people's psychology, health, education, community relationship, environment, as part of the next batch of targets. So that's in brief, the purpose. But it provides many other handles on policy making. Otherwise, you will be left to make policies from environmental data, health and education, crime, and GDP, macroeconomics. But then it leaves out many interesting things, about the, as you say, emotions and feelings of the people, about this and that things, about governance, quality of services, about the belongingness, trustworthiness, relationship of support, emotional, social, monetary, etc., within and between people, so there are lots of other things which are of interest to living happily. That's why we do these things. But it's also incomparable or uncomparable with other measurements of happiness. This is very extensive, time-consuming, costly. The survey itself, initially it lasted 4 hours, about 4 hours on average. And we had to cut down the questionnaires. Now it lasts a little over 2 hours, 2 hours. So it's a very, intensive thing for respondents also. They have to go through about 144 questions.
So the Bhutan king, it was Jigme Wangchuck who famously said in 1972 that gross national happiness is more important than GDP. Do you see people of Bhutan today matching up to that yardstick? Are they actually happy?
Now, when you say happy and we you bring empirical evidence or science, we have to at once think about how do you measure it. In all over the world, they use this simple question, when you take your life as a whole, how happy do you feel, 0 to 10, and that is not exactly how we measure. It's far more complex, comprehensive, but comprehensiveness also presents difficulties in clarity of, adding it up together. We have to find different methods. So, if you compare it with the measurements done elsewhere by the team who produces this World Happiness Report, 0 to 10, there's also evidence it is improving in Bhutan. It's improving in Bhutan. It's also improving elsewhere in the world, especially in developing countries, but it's a bit stuck in some countries such as United States, but now, if we take far more complex calculations that is represented by G and H, using so many variables, then you see that it's improving, but very slowly only. If you see GDP, per capita income, money, etc., is improving very rapidly in this country. But when you include other factors into the GNH index, such as environment, social relations, psychology, people's view on governance, and so on and so forth, some go backwards. For example, culture index doesn't improve so rapidly. Psychology also doesn't improve very rapidly. Community relation doesn't improve rapidly. Environment perceptions in experiences is regressing in urban areas, for example. You came from Delhi, you see it is sort of fairly in good condition, but when we measure, people take into account noise, pollution, waste, and on these parameters, it's not improving, So we feed all these complex factors, and interestingly, it reveals that contrast with GDP, contrast with the normal way of measuring happiness according to this simple questionnaire done in the West. So, but overall there is improvement. Overall there is improvement in Bhutan.
You are actually the world's leading expert, though lesser known. There are so many, life gurus, both Western and popular. But you're leading expert on happiness. What is is there a mathematical formula for daily happiness, which you would subscribe to people and say that, okay, this is, if you do this, this is what's going to make you happy?
Again, I think it's an empirical question, I mean, people answer it differently from spiritual point of view or philosophical point of view. What ought to be life with its richness and variety, etc. But when you come to empirical, we have to choose what are the relevant criteria to measure, and we have to then estimate it. And there are many ways of estimating it. But very simple question is, all things being equal, tell me, what other things do you need to make your life happier? You can ask this very simple question and let people answer what other things they need. We ran this in Bhutan, and about 26% of the people say that they need more money to lead a happier life. About 26%. Now that is quite interesting, because in many other countries, people will say more percentage will say, and if the society is or life is becoming more marketized or dependent on money to obtain things, then the dramatic increase will be there amongst the proportion of people who say that money, because money is now become the main means, It's not the final end, however, You have to check what is the final end, because this is an opaque kind of an intransparent good, is translated into some other things. So that's very interesting in Bhutan also. It's only about 26%, but it increased quite a lot from the last 5 years. In the last 5 years ago, only it was 18% of the people who said they need more money. So you can see this, the financialization of life is taking place. And then it will go up to 80%, 90% of people who would say that they need more money. Now, but
what's your personal advice to people on happiness?
Yeah, but it comes from the people themselves. And then now about 23% of people say that the quality of improving the quality of the relationship within the family would make them more happier, Then then after that, the biggest block of people who mention a factor that will make them happier is health. So from here, a simple question, you can draw some inference. It's just a calculation of percentage. Then we can also do more complex estimation. You can do regression and such things like that. However, surprisingly, this also reveals very similar. In fact, in the regression, you find out that the family comes as the number one factor. So the biggest size effect on the equation is family. So next is health, and money is about fourth, fifth place. So the odds of being happier improves by about 11% only if you move one income decile. So these are the important things, I think. Whichever way we look, if the environment, if the governance structure, all extra are good, then people will say that they need more health, better family relationship. This is quite obvious kind of thing. Of course, more complicated thing is that these are products of the environment, your lifestyle, and quality of governance. These are also not obtainable by individual actions. You need some kind of a culture around good lifestyle, good governance, and broader facilities to fill. To what extent can you improve the family relationship? Because that is a function of, jobs, whether it is far away or near. It depends on the scarcity of time, whether you have enough time to bond together, whether sort of values and culture is right, etc. So it's much broader, and also it depends on lifestyle, So these are again not completely within the control of individuals. So then we get into discussion about broader relationship and factors. So only by understanding these things can we have some idea about what policies and laws can improve individuals' happiness. If people are forced to commute for 2 hours a day, you've wasted a lot of time that might be devoted to health or for family relationship, or some self-cultivation. So it's not, what I meant to say is that to particularize or essentialize happiness as just an individual matter is a little narrow.
And when we talk of Bhutan as a country, you're surrounded by neighbors who are also building militaries.
Yeah.
In times like these, when your neighborhood is witnessing conflict and a lot of finances going in building armies.
Yeah.
There are also 2 wars going on as we speak.
Yeah.
How do you see Bhutan saving itself, keeping itself safe and happy in such an environment?
Yeah, actually, I'm one generation before you. And we grew up in the 70s and 80s when the idea of peace dividend was there, Cold Wars came to an end. But it turned out to be a false vision, because reality turned out to be completely harsh now. So all around you can see heavy diversion of money to arms race, and all claim it is for their own defense. But in some ways, this is also an incomplete argument, because as one nation builds more defense capability, other nation feels insecure. And so the race goes on, and world as a whole has become far more unstable, conflict-ridden. I think, and the scale of violence has increased because of this, in my mind, and the potential to devastate each other is far greater. And I a bit idealistic, but I feel that, at a philosophical level, we should have some empirical implication. Is I wish pacification, ahimsa, etc. had much bigger discourse in governance and in international governance, but that has now sort of taken much backseat. We have entered a very aggressive era now, fueled by nations who kind of wish to subordinate others, fueled by technological industries which make big profit out of conflict, and idea of securitization by technology and military. And in this kind of world, small nations like Bhutan, which got neither might nor economy to finance arms, basically have even no option for neutrality. So, of course, neutrality ought to be respected. Ahimsa, if any nation's specific stance can be respected, I think it would be, of course, ideal, and it's a very attractive, a long-standing idea in Indian civilization, in Buddhist civilization, Hindu civilization. But, neoliberal thoughts, conflict ideas, and such things like realist and so on and so forth, international relationship theories, leave no room for this alternative. But this is not alternative, actually. It is the main thought. The alternative, the main thought. The alternative is the recent one. And actually we are now marching towards some sort of military devastation of the world. You need only few disordered minds to once again devastate the world, like First World War. You need only few, highly masculine, disordered people. So the logic is really unhealthy.
What would be your message to world leaders, to spread happiness and decrease violence, conflict?
Well, I mean, I've not even thought about such things, because where is our position and space to even make such suggestions? We are, nobody in a small country, and small countries are nobody in the world now. So they have never thought of it, but
sometimes the essence comes from these small parts of the world.
But the specter of violence, the specter of tragedy, the specter of meaninglessness of societies doing this sort of thing is very looming large now. Every year is becoming, the horizon is coming closer and closer to you, and we are not able to move out of the paradigm, when the objects of violence, the industries of violence, this needs to be shut down first. The profiteers from violence needs to be shut down. And perversity is that arms export, production of these objects of mass killing, all are part of GDP. Can you believe it? Part of GDP is and we take GDP as a measurement of progress. So the measurement is wrong. The logic of defense, of self-defense, etc., seems to be also not so appealing to me. All sort of control of arms race is breaking down. Looks like sometimes that mankind is not capable of preventing itself from tragedies. Where is the awakening? Where is the awakening? Analysis is quite clear, trends are quite clear, but yet we will continue to do it. The fear, the fear and the weaponization of fear in governance is quite a strong element, I think, and no doubt very big thinkers in many traditions, including Buddhism, focused on this, how to get rid of fear of human beings, which will lead to, this sort of instrumentalization of fear. So myself, I'm not feeling completely optimistic. I mean, I just began by saying, how we began in our boyhood, in the 70s and 80s with this thought and all this thing, it did not materialize in our life. So, so much misallocation of money, so much misallocation of life, so much of sense of territorialism again has come back, so much of masculine leadership has come back again, but disarmament has broken down, nuclear technologies are spreading everywhere for dual use purpose, they say. Democracy, arms race, collapse of the environment, all these are rather, making young people lose sense of meaning of life. These young people. And I don't know about India, but I think this is quite apparent in Europe. And small nations who want to opt for something else are feeling disempowered in between also, but of course, doing the right thing, irrespective of the global effect, is always right. So Bhutan is on this path, but the environment, as you say, built up around it and in the region makes everything precarious now.